Hello, folks, it's me. I'm Biggy, and I am back. And this is Let's Play Terraforming Mars. This will be the tutorial episode for those of you who aren't acquainted with the game. I'm just going to briefly explain how the game works. This is originally a board game, like a physical board game that you could play with from one up to five players. But in my experience, it's best with between three or four. So, anyways, welcome to Terraforming Mars. In Terraforming Mars, you control a corporation whose goal is to make Mars as Earth like as possible. Well, Earth like enough so that we can live freely on it. So, in order to win, you score the highest by accumulating the good terraforming rating, which is over here, and accumulate as many victory points as possible. So, this is your current terraforming rating. Each player starts at 20. You can increase your terraform rating by increasing the global perimeters by playing certain cards. What are global perimeters, you ask? Well, um, these things, but we'll go over them in the next part of the tutorial, I think. Um, you also have the victory points, which are earned by playing cards, placing tiles on Mars, or claiming milestones and winning awards. So there are victory points here, there are milestones up here, awards over here. And the game will end if all of these perimeters, which is temperature on the left, oxygen on the no temperature on the right, pardon me, oxygen on the left, and the ocean on the bottom here are filled. So if there are 9 oceans placed total, or as well as temperature reaches 8 degrees Celsius and oxygen reaches 14%, you are at the end of the game. So these global perimeters are shared amongst all players. So basically, everyone will fight amongst themselves to get as many global perimeters as you can. And raising a global perimeter, any of these things, will give an immediate bonus to the player that increased it. And that immediate bonus will be the terraforming rating right here. But we'll explain that in the next part, I guess. Well, the first one is the oceans. You raise the ocean level by placing an ocean tile on the planet. So you need to place 9 tiles in total. Oxygen, you start from 0 and go all the way up to 14%. You could do it by placing greenery, or you could also play certain cards. When you reach 8%, you increase the temperature for free, which means you get double the terraforming points. And the last global perimeter right here is the temperature on the right. You raise the temperature level with certain actions and cards, and you need to increase the temperature from minus 30 degrees to 8 degrees in steps of 2 degrees. So a lot of the usually is the last thing to go, but it could be one of the first few things to go, depending on which corporations show up. But we'll explain that once we reach it. Of course, at minus 24 degrees and minus 20 degrees, you increase your heat production because it naturally increases the heat of Mars. And reaching 0 degrees Celsius allows you to play to free ocean because, as you know, that's when the ice melts. So, well, anyways, the game is divided into generations, which is kind of like big turns. You get new project cards at the beginning of each generation and the resources of the each generation. But what that means we'll explain now after we talk about the order. So the steps are the player order phrase, the research phrase, action phrase, and production phrase. Phrase. Why am I saying phrase? It's phase. Damn it! I'm recording this way too late. But anyways, the first phase is the player order phase, where in this phase, the first player becomes the last one, and every other player moves to one space. Back in the old days, it's just rotating the seat on who goes first, but that's all sorted by now. And next comes the research phase, and this phase you could buy project cards. Here is the meat and potatoes of the game, where you can buy from any one of these 4 cards, and you press select, and you just press done. And when you buy these project cards, they will go into your hand, but it will cost you 3 million credits each. So, anyways, when we enter the action phase, here's the fun part of the game where you uh, play your resources, use your resources, take some actions, increase your score, terraform Mars, and if you want to look, you just have a look at your player board here, and it will indicate how many things you have down here. You can use these resources to perform various actions. We'll explain that in the next part of the tutorial. The resource production down here is the brown box right here. So all of these brown bits on top will basically slide down into the bits in the bottom where you could use the resources there. Um, at the end of the generation, or basically the big turn, um, you gain all the resources down below. No, no, up in from the brown boxes down to the bottom. You'll see once this happens. You also have mega credits, which is the amount of money here. You could use this currency to buy and play project cards from our hand, and using standard projects, which is up here. Basically, if you run out of cards to play from your hand, you can always use standard projects to improve Mars. At the beginning of each generation, you get your terraforming rating, which is your score up here, plus how many production of gold you have in terms of money. So basically, we'll see this happen right now. Nope, not yet. Sorry. We'll have to explain the um, actions first. Basically, everyone during their short turn will get two actions. You can perform those two actions, and then after you're done with those two, you pass on to the next player. If you do not wish to perform one, you could always select the pass button. With the pass button, you could either uh, skip if you played one action, or if you played your action, if you played two actions, you're forced to end your turn anyways. But when your turn ends, you can also play again until once all remaining players have finished their turns. So if you haven't played any actions yet, and then you pass, you basically end your generation. So you end your big turn. Looks confusing, I know, but just hang on. This will be very apparent in a bit on what will happen. And you see here, it's the end of the generation. We're passing on to the next generation, and all of the resources have been accumulated like so. But of course, once all of these are filled, the game will end at the end of that particular generation, and the scoring will be explained in the last part of the tutorial, which is the fifth one. Congrats, you passed the first part. Now let's continue on to what's called the standard projects. And standard projects represent all critical actions in the game. They're always available, can be used without limit, and they usually cost more than using cards. That's the important thing, because projects right here are usually won't be very cost effective, but it will be important in grabbing what's necessary on the board, like areas and milestones, but that will be um, explained a little bit. So for example, you press the standard project right here. Um, you could use what's called sell pattern. Basically, discard one or more cards from your hand to gain 1 million per card. It's not a very efficient way of doing things because you give up one turn, but if you're in desperate needs of some cash, um, to, for example, one or two bits, or maybe you have a card that you can't use anymore, you could sell them for extra bits of money. And if you look at the standard projects, like so, one more time, you could use the power plant here to increase your energy production by one. Yep, so it's this one will be increased by one. And the asteroids will increase the temperature by one, and once temperature increases, you will add to your terraforming rating. Basically, you make one more money, one more buck per turn. Aquifers are used to place oceans. If you use it now, like they said, and you can see our money's been deducted by 18, and you could place it on any of the designated spots. You're not allowed to place oceans just willy-nilly everywhere. You can see here these little tiles are highlighted in blue, um, but it's telling us to put it right here. And you saw right there that there's a small little resource there. Whenever you place a tile on Mars, you actually get a little bit of resource on there. So you get the extra one greenery token here, and also what it probably explained, but I didn't. But read is that you also get an extra bit of money from placing something next to an ocean tile. You get 2 million per ocean tile next to the placed tile. But that will be something we will continue to do if we press use right here. Greenery increases your oxygen level, which is this bar. If that is still available, it will also increase your terraforming rating. So you could place the greenery continuously despite having the oxygen bar being filled, because it increases one victory point at the end of the game. So it's a good way to earn points if you have a lot of green. But it has to be, the caveat is that it has to be next to a tile we own, if possible. All right. So you can see here that this greenery is a tile we own. We're always green. Then we could always place the greenery over here, and you can see that we also gained 4 gold for million just from placing it next to the 2 bits of ocean. Okay, we're going to show off another standard project, I guess, which is a city. Cities increases your money production by 1 step. Also gains 1 victory point at the end of the game for each adjacent greenery tile, regardless of the owner. That's the cool thing about this. If your opponent starts placing a lot of greenery on there on the map, you could come in and swoop down and grab a random, like lots of points, and also make some money for the next few rounds. But that's it. That's the end of this bit of the tutorial. I'm just gonna continue now into the project cards. In this tutorial, we'll learn about the project cards and how we could use them to gain victory points in Terraforming Mars. Let's start by the game at the beginning here. So we start off by selecting a corporation. We get a choice of 3. On top, you'll see the name of your corporation and its description in its background. Okay, we'll press OK here. And here's your starting resources as well as the special abilities that you gain for the rest of the game. We will see the actions and effects further in tutorial 4, but for now we'll choose the beginner corporation, which says you start with 42 million. Instead of participating in the first research phase, you draw 10 cards for free. So it's really good for beginners. I press confirm here. But for me, beginner corporation is relatively safe and boring, so to speak. But okay, we start with 10 free projects, so basically 10 free cards, and 42 million. Yep, we just press done for now. You can scroll through the cards we have, but I guess they'll explain paying the cards in a little bit. So you see we have cards here in hand. The project cards allow you to improve your corporation's situation in order to terraform Mars more efficiently than your opponents. They can give you different types of benefits like gaining resources or resource production, gaining recurring actions or effects, placing tiles, or increasing global perimeters. So we're going to press OK here. And you could buy project cards during the research phase, and at the beginning of each new generation, certain cards can also give you new project cards. Yep. So we're going to pick Adopted Lichen. And you can see it increases my plant production by 1 step. And this is the effect there's the green, three types of cards. I'll have to explain that first. There's the automated cards, which is green, event cards, which are red, and active cards, which are blue. So over here is a cost on the top left right there. How much money you need to play it, basically. The right are the tags of the card, and basically tags are placed in certain categories and can affect other cards you play from hand. And in the middle is the immediate effect, so basically what the card gives you. You can always press the information button to view the full description of the card, like here. But that's also not necessary. Just press the use button right here, and you see our plant production increased by 1. Keep going here with the Vesta Shipyard. Some of them could give you victory points outright, so these are very strong cards. And if you use this here with our monies, cash money, you get all this stuff. We have no actions left, so we're forced to end the turn, because you see playing a card takes up 1 action. But now we passed to our side. We're going to be able to play some more projects. And you can see here, this is a red card. These are immediate actions that happen right away, but you play it and then you discard it. And we select this card. Cards have requirements sometimes, so you look at there, it says you need a minimum of -8 degrees, so we can't use this card yet. So if we keep continuing to the next card we could use this card because it has limitations, but some cards allow you to place tiles, either normal tiles or special tiles like this one. So let's go ahead and place a volcano, and we could put it on one of these Monses. So as you can see, you place it there, and that particular tile gives us an extra card. We use 2 actions, so we need to pass. Open up our hand. This is a blue card. It gives you access to effects that are available for the rest of the game. So these blue cards are very high value. So this basically gives us an action which allows us to purchase aquifers for 12 million instead of the usual 18. Yep, and you could also decrease the cost, but that'll be explained, I guess, now. Dynamic victory points. So you can see here the amount of victory points you receive from this card depends on the final board. For example, with this card, you receive 1 victory point for each card with the Jovian tag. Jovian is basically like gas giants: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus. Yay, I get to say Uranus. But we don't have enough money to spend on this card. But it has a space tag. Looky here. Space tags can use. We can use titanium or these little star icons to decrease the resource of this card. So you could see here we've got 5 titanium. We're just going to press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, all the way down here. We reduce the cost by 15, and we only use 10 credits. Good. We'll open our project card hand now. And let's look at our immigrant city here. Again, this card has offers an effect when specific things occur. So each time a city tile is placed, including this one, increase your money production by 1 step. Yep. So this also has a production requirement. So if you look here, it needs energy to play, like energy production to play, but we don't have any, so we can't play the card. It also has money requirement, but the thing is, you can't use it unless you have enough production of these things to produce, except for money, which you could reduce it down to -5. So let's go to the next card. And over here is another card we could reduce the cost of using steel. This is a building tag right here. So You could use the steel resources to decrease this cost all the way down to 0, because steel is worth 2 for each of these. So you could just basically put this down for free. Wonderful. Okay, so let's have a look at some additional actions. And once I'm done with this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and start playing some games. But this tutorial will show you additional actions you can play, as well as certain specific rules, right? So these are actual actions you can do, like when you gather 8 plant resources, you can place a greenery tile on Mars and raise the action by the greenery by 1 step. Yep. And even if the oxygen is maxed out, you can still put down plants. It will give you 1 victory point, but it will not give you the terraforming point, which is unfortunate. But I'm gonna pick this particular spot right here. As you can see, that all that stuff that's happened, increased oxygen, etc. And once you gain 8 heat, you can convert them to temperature. You can increase temperature level by 1 step, and it will increase your terraforming rating. But that's our second action gone, so let's end our turn. Yep. There are effects right here. They happen on their own, but they can be triggered by other actions. So if you mouse over, it'll explain what it says, what it is. Remember, we could gain 2 million production of money when you place a city tile, like so. If it has a red border, it applies to any player. So if anybody puts down a city, we get 2 production on the money side. Yep, so we're going to demo that by placing a city. Let's place it next to the greenery and the water, so to get some more monies and points. As you can see, we've got an additional $2 million from placing placing money. But okay, so the actions tab over here refer to the actions that we could use by blue cards. Like for example here, this one says use 8 heat to increase terraforming by 1 step, which is very convenient. So it will trade resources for an advantage. So let's use this action right here. You have no more actions left, so you have to end our turn. But despite our opponent passing already, we could keep playing then. There's actions that you could use to accumulate resources. Like here, it's tardigrades. End your turn once more. Yep. So let's open the action tab again. Some actions allows you to steal from other players to gain resources from yourself. So this is remove 1 microbe from any card to add 1 microbe to this card. But this is actually not an opponent. This is actually the card that we just used our skill on. And we're going to add 1 resources right here. They're going to ask us to open our tab again. And we could use this action right here to convert stuff into stuff. So we could press confirm and -2 bacteria tokens here. And it increases the oxygen. And we're almost there, guys. We will talk about how to score at the end of the game. So here it is, how this game scoring will work. Milestones are special accomplishments you can claim, each giving you 5 victory points at the end of the game. If you meet the criteria of a milestone, you claim it by paying 8 million. A milestone will only be claimed by 1 player, and at only 3 of the 5 milestones can be claimed in total. So look at the menu. Hey, we got 35 terraformer scores, so let's just use this and claim the milestone. Basically, we're getting points for reaching all these milestones first. We also have awards, and you get 5 victory points for getting the most out of something, and 2 victory points if you're second. And only 3 of the 5 awards may be funded in total, and the funding cost increases starting at 8 million, then 14 million, and 20 million. So we have a look at the awards menu right here. Um, since you are the player with the most house in play, we could, okay, hey, let's pick the landlord award here. If you use this right now, yep, if you pass go, has to go to the next generation. They're gonna pass, and when all global perimeters are maxed, you enter the end game, and after the end of each current generation. Yep. All right. Let's have a look-see here at what we could do. They're going to talk about plant conversion. Basically, if you have any plants left, you have the liberty of converting them to gain extra victory points, which we do. We have a total of 15. Let's see. Let's place it right here next to our city. And also, you can see there that by placing there, we actually gained a greenery, so we could continue replacing. So let's keep placing next to our city. And we're done. So you can suddenly gain quite a few points from saving up greenery. But it's not a good idea because you lose out on terraforming rating. And here are how the winners are declared. So each terraforming rating is based on the score. Yep, so terraforming rating will be the score. They'll become awards. 5 victory points are given on the winner of each card. Additional 2 victory points are given to the player in second place, unless there are only 2 players. Yep, you can see here we got the award here. And then the milestones. 5 victory points given to each milestone for the player that claimed it. And then there's a greenery one. Each greenery gives 1 victory point to the player that owns it. We got 9 versus 4, so we got 9 extra points. And then there are cities, so each of the city will gain a victory point for each greenery surrounding it, whether if it's yours or not. As you can see here, we got 9 extra points here. We got some points from project cards. Each victory point will be given by a project card is added to the player's total. This includes hidden points for event cards and the dynamic victory points. And the winner will be revealed. So if there are 2 players with the same amount of points, the one with the most money remaining will be the winner. So that's it. That's the tutorial. We're done with this for now, and thanks for joining in. Like I've would have probably added to the beginning of the video, that this tutorial will be used to explain how the game works. I'll be streaming this game tomorrow, so you can come and join in on the fun. I might do 1 or 2 depending on how my health is, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys on the gameplay tomorrow.